Understandably, we've heard more about it in the past year, the 2020 census, mainly because of the controversy of one potential question: citizenship.
But the data from next year's count determines how much money our state gets and if we could see another Colorado seat in the U.S. House of Representatives. So how much has the state grown and what impact does this have here in southern Colorado and beyond? News 5's Allison Zimmerman digging into those numbers to kick off our month-long series, State of Growth.
Now take a look at this. The entire state grew by nearly 80,000 people in the last year. But if we break it up by county, El Paso saw the most growth with a whopping 13,856 people moving here. Compare that to Denver County, where they saw a little more than 11,000 new people calling it home. Really, though, it's the I-25 corridor really feeling the pressure, with Weld, Denver, and El Paso seeing the most people. And if you're not a fan of all of these new neighbors, there's some things beyond the numbers we can learn ahead of the big census count next year.
Really, how do we manage those people better? That's kind of the topic that we should talk about, not how do we keep people from coming in.
The secret's been out for a while, and thousands of people are now calling Colorado home, with the numbers to prove it.
What we have seen is that majority of the growth has been along the Front Range.
That growth pattern likely the reason many are feeling the impacts in southern Colorado. State demographer Elizabeth Garner studies our state population and growth patterns.
It tells us in terms of migration is where are the jobs growing and where are people attracted to.
And this many people moving along the Front Range is unusual. Typically, 80% of the people moving here go there, and now it's closer to 90%. And with a more official count coming ahead of the 2020 census.
We need to balance jobs and population.
And with job growth and more development, sure, it's good for the economy, but there are other impacts in terms of resources like housing, which may be why people are moving here faster than Denver.
Home prices have really exploded in the Denver metro area, and I think that that is also making El Paso, Colorado Springs more attractive to other people.
And get this, 84,000 people commute out of Denver every day, with several thousand making their way to the Springs. On the flip side, 54,000 people leave for work from Colorado Springs, with about a few thousand going to the capital city. There are, of course, other impacts. Beyond the growing pains in already populated places, it can mean not so good news for other parts of the state.
Gosh, what do we do with all these people? Well, imagine if you're at the other end of the spectrum where you're losing population.
With less people, it means less revenue to fund schools and other public resources.
A lot of other counties not along the Front Range that have continued to lose jobs and lose population, and that's hard.
Still, there are other parts of southern Colorado seeing growth, just not as quickly as El Paso County. Take Pueblo County, which saw a gain of 1,100 people in the last year. Garner says it's a place to keep an eye on as the state manages growth.
There's a lot of housing, they've got water, they've got other resources available, readily available. So that's kind of some of the more of the discussions that I think we probably need to have as a state, is how do we do this better?
Take a look. This is how much El Paso County has grown in the last decade. In 2010, population estimates placed it around 622,000 people. That's the last time the census count was held. And as we're less than a year out from the next big calculation, Garner says there's plenty to watch out for and the impacts it could mean for us.
We keep watching the trends because we've got a lot of important things that come up with the census.
Beyond Colorado's representation in Congress and federal money, the state is monitoring where this growth is happening and what it can mean for our state's growth economically. Another impact to the population, not necessarily with growth, but another pattern here. While we're seeing more people move in, they're not necessarily starting families. Colorado's fertility rate sits at 1.7%. That's just slightly below the national average at 1.8%. And Garner says the slowdown in births isn't something that they really anticipated. So the question they'll be trying to answer is if there are going to be enough people to fill jobs 10, 20 years down the line. Garner says they'll need to look at increasing labor participation among all ages, or even focusing on people moving in later on to fill those jobs. But keep in mind, El Paso County is one of the few counties in the state not to see a decline in fertility, but we'll have a better idea of all these numbers come 2020 when that next census comes around. Watching out for you, Allison Zimmerman, News 5.
Allison.